Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. Today I thought I'd just show you my art setup in the van and do a little studio tour and how I create art as a travelling artist, as I just thought it'd be interesting to show how I make art on such a small scale and what materials and things that I use if anyone's interested. And yeah, just what I'm working on at the minute as well. If you saw on the last vlog, I said I was going to be kind of stepping back into doing a bit more art, creative content as well as the travel content, as I just think that the art is what I really love, and I've been really enjoying recording our little travel adventures as being full time in the van, as that's still relatively new for me and Kyle. But what I'd also quite like to do is to develop my little small business as well. I've been self-employed since 2019, which is when I graduated, and I've kind of done a variety of things over the years as a self-employed person, but I've always kind of like made created art that I've sold, whether that's been on my own website or on Etsy, but predominantly I'm just selling on Etsy at the minute. But yeah, I just thought I'd show you how I work in the van and the tools and sketchbooks and stuff that I'm using at the minute. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. So as you can see, this is our little van. I'm going to do a van tour at some point. We're just waiting to have our window fixed. If you didn't see, I'll link the little video up here, but we had a bit of a disaster with one of our windows when we did our first month in Scotland as full-time van lifers. I do apologise if there's a little bit of like bright light coming from kind of this side of the video. I have closed the door, but there still is just like quite an intense light coming through, and I can't really do much about that at the moment. But I just wanted to show you first of all my little desk setup. So Kyle really kindly made me this like really cool kind of moving desk, which really helps in terms of sitting positions and things like that, just because I can either sit kind of sat straight up and have the desk in front of me. I'll show you how it goes. So I can sit like this if I want to, with kind of like my back up against the bed, or sometimes I like to have it like this. And then sometimes I'll sit like that and have it in front of me. Sometimes I do quite like to have my sketchbook on my lap, or sometimes I do kind of like to have my legs up. And then also I've been having it like this more recently, where I can sit and then I have the desk a little bit closer so I can sit with my back up. But I can also sit with my back up against this little box here, which is where we keep our socks. So that's really handy, and then obviously it just slots back in here when we're driving. And I normally keep my art materials either under here, just it depends on how frequently I'm using them. So at the minute I'm using it quite frequently. I've got a little bit of storage under the passenger seat, which is where I keep most of my art materials, but I'm going to have a bit of a rejig before we head off to Europe, just because there's a lot of art materials under there that like I haven't used within the months that we've been away. So I feel like, okay, if I haven't used them within the month, then I'm probably not going to use them for a while. I just thought that I might get back into more textile based work, and I think I mentioned that in maybe a few videos ago, but I haven't. I've actually kind of got more back into painting and drawing, which is a bit unexpected. I thought I would feel like I need to make something physical, which I still do have a bit of a craving for. I really miss my ceramics, but the painting and sketching has been like pretty okay, to be honest. So now that I've kind of shown you my little desk setup, I also as well, I just totally forgot to mention, I sometimes draw in bed as well, so there's also a little bit of space there. And then there's also a little bit of space in the passenger seat, so I'll turn you around and show you, all insert a little image. But Kyle made a little desk that's folds up in between both the driver's seat and the passenger seat, so it can be a desk for him to use when he's at the computer, but then I could also sit at the passenger seat and kind of use the desk as well if I want to kind of work next to him. And that's also quite nice to have another functional space. I think he's done really well, and like we've done very well together in terms of mapping this space out, because I did worry a little bit that we would feel a little bit on top of each other, but I think because I've got this dedicated space to use as my own, and then he's got the driver's seat and kind of a bit of a desk area there, then it means it kind of feels like we've got our own space in that way, even though we are in such a small space. But in terms of like places to be creative, there's quite a lot of space in that sense. Like I can be here, I can be on the bed, I can be at the driver's seat, or I could be outside. I can be, yeah, pretty much quite flexible in terms of like where I need to be in terms of creating. My little mic died, so I apologise if there's a little kind of change in the audio quality, but I just thought I'd finally show you. This is my art box, and so I've got a box of art materials that is stored in a bit of storage at one of my friend's art studios, and that's kind of like art materials that I want to keep hold of, but I just don't think I'll have any immediate use of, just because art materials are so expensive, and I just felt like I didn't want to get rid of them or donate them or anything. So in that little box I've got things like lino cutters, I've got some kind of fabric textile work, I think I've also got some kind of silver clay tools and jewellery when I kind of got a little bit into that, when I was doing my clay stuff as well. So this is the art box that I kind of keep the majority of things in, and it's got the sketchbooks that I use mostly in at the moment. I've also got another little green folder that's got 2 sketchbooks in. One's more like a kind of junk journal, a little one, and then the other sketchbook's more of a, well, I call it kind of like my proper sketchbook, but what I really mean is that the stuff in there, I do more thought out drawings, where this one in here is more I call it my ugly sketchbook, but I call it an ugly sketchbook because I just think that like it gives me then, it takes off the pressure of having to do art that looks good or anything like that, if that makes sense. So I kind of have 2 sketchbooks that I like jump in between, and I'm trying really, really hard at the moment to finish a sketchbook, because I'm not very good at that. I'm good at starting them, and then I'll buy another sketchbook and then start that, and then sometimes I forget that I've even started sketchbooks. But yeah, so this has got all of my tools in it, and this is how I kind of keep it. It's a bit messy at the moment, but it's just kind of quite full with bits and bobs, to be honest, and I think I could even go through this, to be honest, and kind of get rid of some more things. I've seemed to only be sticking with like a few of these pens at the moment, but I just keep them all just in case that I want to use them. Sorry, I'm doing this with one hand just because I'm holding my phone mic up to me, so it's a better quality audio. So this is a sketchbook that I'm using at the minute. I really like it. It's Artwork Book, and I'm sure it's like an architectural sketchbook by Stifilex. It's made in Italy. I can't remember where I got it from. I think I got it from the art discount shop a while ago, and I started it on the 29th of the 10th, 24. So it's kind of a bit of a, I call it my ugly sketchbook because I just do anything and everything in it. I've also got like notes and things like that in there as well. And then I've got some little ideas because I want to do Patreon. So I kind of was coming up with the different tier systems that I would offer. And then I'd love to obviously at one point do like a monthly print tier, but I think that'll kind of like come as the Patreon grows. I still haven't started a Patreon or haven't made one up or anything like that. So I've got a bit of fear, I think, about like doing it in case it doesn't go well, because I've done it once before in the past, and I think I got about 5 patrons, and I couldn't sustain it in the way that I wanted to, and then I closed it, and then so I'm kind of hoping that once YouTube kind of starts growing more and developing and things like that, then I'll probably open a Patreon where I feel like I've got a bit more of like a grounding to go on. I was just doing like Patreon ideas, and then like the cost breakdown for doing prints for Patreon, and like how much that would cost me, as well as like how much I would need to like charge per month for Patreon. Just some like little notes and things like that. I've also kind of got like therapy notes and things like that in here as well. So this is definitely a sketchbook of everything. These are some more of my most recent sketches that I've been doing. I really like this page, and this was inspired by an artist. I'll put their name up on the screen, but I can't quite remember. They did a hare in this kind of, or a rabbit in this position, and I really liked the kind of mid-running motion of it, so I tried to do it in my own style. But yes, that's the sketchbook. I really like the sketchbook because, so you've got kind of like the sketchbook pages, and it's been pretty good for any kind of like wet material. So I wouldn't use it for oils. I did use oils on it once and it wasn't too great, but any like watercolour or like inks and things like that, it's been pretty good. And then when you go to the back of the sketchbook, you've got tracing paper, which I really, really like. And then you've also got kind of like dotted pages for like notes and things like that. So again, really like the sketchbook. I'd quite like to get like more of them when I finish this one, just because it is such a handy sketchbook to have. Then moving on to my box of goodies, I'll just take those out. Sorry, it's a little bit messy. I was drawing in it last night. So I've just tried to keep things pretty simple, but I do have a lot of pens. I keep my little notepad in here. So this is a notepad that I've designed and it has dreams on it. I really like these notepads. I use it quite a lot, and I really like it if I've got some ideas down, and sometimes I just write the ideas down and then stick them in the sketchbook. But they're really, really handy to have just for like little notes and things like that. I've then also got a thicker watercolour pad in here that's a small one, and again I've just been using that to do kind of like singular ink paintings in. These are some slightly older ones. Don't know what I did most recently. I was kind of having a play around with just like doing like a blob of ink and then drawing an image based on what the blob of ink looked like. I thought that one looked quite good. It was a woman sat on a little bird. But yeah, again, I don't really know what I'm going to do with the bits in here. It's kind of just for like a bit of fun, trying to let go of making art that looks perfect and things like that. And then I also have, this was a gifted sketchbook that I haven't opened. As you can see, it's I don't know what you call these sketchbook. Is it like a carousel sketchbook or something like that? So all the pages are joined up, and when you open it up, it creates like one long page, if that makes sense. It's a Moleskine one I got kindly gifted from one of my arty friends, which is really nice. And then moving on to kind of the materials and stuff, the paints that I'm using at the minute, they're both gouache paints, and I think they're is it the Holbein? So I've just got a black and I've got a white one, as all of my work is in monochrome. I've also got a glue stick, and then we have some stickers. These are just for orders. When I get orders, I use them just to make the packaging look pretty. I've also got some more stickers that I designed that says "You've got mail." Again, I like to use them on the front of the packaging. I've also got pencil sharpener in there. And I also have a little collection of rocks that I gathered when we were in Scotland. I don't really know what to do with them, to be honest, but I just thought they were quite cute to keep. And I also have some artist leads. I don't know how to best show them. It's basically kind of just fully leaded pencils, and they come in, there's like a charcoal, like a lead pencil in different kind of thicknesses, harshnesses. Do you call that hard? No. One is kind of like a lighter, and then one's like a slightly darker, like smudgier texture. I don't know how best you describe that. And then you've also got like a white in there that's like a chalk. But sometimes I use them just to add a bit more texture. And then in here, I've just got some tape. This is for my junk journal, just makes it a lot easier. I've got glue as well, just in case, but I do prefer kind of this little tape, double-sided sticky tape. I've also got a rubber, which I could do probably like a new one of. I primarily use a little bit of putty because I like the softness of the putty. I keep that just stuck in the drawer. I've got this tiny little bit of putty there. And then when you move on to my very messy pencils and pens and things like that, I've got a variety of paintbrushes. I think some of them have been unfortunately a bit damaged when it's to do with my fault. I think I've just kind of hoid them in here when I was getting everything ready, but I've got some spare lead. And then I've got a couple of these pens dotting around. I use these for journaling because it's a pen that you can rub out, and being dyslexic, that's super helpful. And then just a range of different pens. So I've got a few of the Pigma Micron pens. Sorry, I'm saying that as if I don't really know if that's the correct way to pronounce these, but I've got a small handful of them. My favourite one is this one, which is the Pigma Graphic, and it's number 1. That's a really nice pen. I've also got a brown one. And again, these are all just very like fine tipped pens. I've got a handful of those that I kind of dip in between. I've got a handful of paintbrushes. Some of these are kind of quite cheap ones, and then some of them are a bit more expensive. And some of them are miniature paintbrushes, but they haven't really held up very well, to be honest. Like, they started kind of fraying quite quickly after I got them, and then I kind of think like, oh, is that to do with me? So I think I'm just going to stick with like cheaper paints for now. I've got one is it a Motorola pen that I've had for years that I do quite like for filling in black spaces quickly. That's another one of those quite nice pens to write with that have got a rubber on the end. And then I have two of these, I think they're Japanese pens. I got these as a gift, and I don't know what brand they are or anything, but they're very fine, quite nice pens to work with. They've got a very, very fine tip. And then I have a handful of Derwent graphic pencils. I like the really thick pencils, like the really smudgy ones, but I do have a bit of a range in here just for, yeah, different styles of textures and tones and things like that. But I much prefer using like the heavier, thicker pencils. I think this is like a 9B. Yeah, 9B. Those are my favourite. Where you can kind of, when you draw with it, you can like smudge it a bit with your hand as well. And then I have a couple of these ones as well. I don't know what these, again, I don't know what brand these are because they're all like faded. But I do love these ones as well. These also have like a really soft texture, and they've got the rubbers on the end that you can refill. But I got those as little gifts, but really like them. And then we have, for more accurate rubbing out, I've just got, don't know what you call this. This is a Mono Zero eraser. Tombow. There you go. Black Sharpie, just in case. I've got like a biro, because again, sometimes I like to use that for different textures. And then I've got like a handful of small, I think they're Prismacolor blacks, crayons, black pencils. Again, they're like at the very end. So I've just found these, I don't know what you call these, but they make the pens last longer. They're like extend them, if that makes sense. You just like pull it out, and then you've got, if you have like a really small pencil and you can't sharpen it, you just pop it in there and it just comes out. And then finally, I've got a random red pencil that is I'm sure that's like a Prisma, is it? Prismacolor, I think. Just, I use that sometimes for like initial light sketches. And then I have another Pigma one, which is kind of like a brush pen. These don't last particularly long in terms of ink and things like that. Mechanical pencil, that is by Fiber something, that's rubbed out. And then finally, I think that's another is it Prisma? I feel like I'm saying that wrong. White pencil. And that's it. So yeah, and you've just got bits of rocks and things in there. So yeah, that's all of my little painting supplies and what I use as like a travelling artist. I've just placed an order for some small art materials from Jackson Arts, just because I was in need of, I'm slightly running out of the black gouache paint, and I just wanted to make sure that I had more than enough before we go away again, because we're going to go away for a longer stint. So I just thought I'll do a little top up of things. And then I also as well got another pencil sharpener that has a attachment to it, so you just sharpen it straight into the little attachment. And then I also got I just got two wooden board panels to paint on, just because I thought it'd be quite cool to do some bigger paintings now that I feel a little bit more comfortable with painting again. And then I thought as well I could just, happy to keep them, but then I might just pop them on my Etsy as well, because I just think it would be nice to sell some art and do some more art to sell on my Etsy. I'm also at the minute making a print. I think I'm going to make it into a print. I'm not 100% sure yet, because I get a bit worried about space and things like that. But I want to do a print and maybe do like a limited edition print of the paintings and sketches that I've done when I was in Scotland, and just kind of like as a homage to being in Scotland for a month and like our time there. And so I'm in the process of doing that on just Photoshop. I've kind of scanned all the sketches in, and I'm kind of just having to play around with kind of putting them together into one sheet. And yeah, so that's kind of like my plan so far. I think if I was selling a bit more and doing a bit more, I'd probably make more stickers and things like that, just because some of the paintings that I've done I really like, and I think they'd turn into like really cool stickers and smaller items. But I'm just going to see how it goes. And I just think I'm very much a person who's like never going to stop making, even if things don't sell don't stop making, just keep going, and like one day you'll get there kind of thing. But I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different, but it's just me easing my way back into doing more creative arty videos and bits of content and things like that. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I will just see you in the next one. Bye.